You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. It is watch list season, and if you're not familiar, every day the national awards put out their preseason watch lists. This is really nothing more than an opportunity for us to have conversation about college football during fall camp before things actually start to get going. And the thing that I'm often fond of saying is that if the player from your team isn't on the watch list, that's a really big concern. Because, for example, like the Maxwell has 85 players on its watch list. That's more than half of college football teams represented. If you're not on the watch list, you stink. Outland today, which is given to the best interior lineman, you had a couple of, actually three LSU players. Will Campbell, Emory Jones, LSU's bookend tackles, were on the Outland watch list, along with Mekhi Wingo. Of course, Mekhi Wingo a year ago was a third-team All-American, exploded on the scene, and he is certainly warranted there. The notable omission, however, is no Mason Smith. Now, I would submit that I understand when you only play one defensive series, it's hard to justify having him on a watch list going into this year. But should he stay healthy, I think it's more than likely we'll see Mason Smith the year-end watch list. The Bronco Nagurski, which goes to the best defensive player in college football. Mekhi Wingo also on that list, and no surprise seeing Harold Perkins on that list. Had a great conversation last week with Derry Beckwith about Harold Perkins, former LSU All-SEC linebacker Derry Beckwith, about Perkins transitioning to the inside from that jack linebacker. And I'll tell you, one of the things that as I've gone and sort of caught up on last year and started to sort of prime and prep for this season, I've noticed a lot of times where Harold Perkins was playing inside a year ago. As a matter of fact, one of the best plays he made last year in that Arkansas game, he was playing inside linebacker. There was a zone read action. It was when Malik Hornsby was playing quarterback, and Perkins jetted through the left side of the defense to track down Malik Hornsby and make that play. So I'm feeling better about Perkins making that transition. I think he's going to be able to impact the game in so many more ways. And then the Maxwell Award, which is given annually to the best player in college football. There were two LSU Tigers on the list. Malik Neighbors coming off a 1,000-yard season a year ago, and LSU quarterback Jayden Daniels. It was really interesting because Jayden Daniels at Media Days gave an interview with Marty and McGee. And a lot of times when you have those 4 days, a lot of those shows, the national ones, when you interview every coach and every player, you stockpile a lot of content that you can't pump out just in those 4 days, so they end up releasing it, as days and weeks go by. So even though Media Days was 2 weeks ago, the guys hadn't released the Jayden Daniels interview. They did today. And one of the things Jayden Daniels talked about that was the first time I've heard him say it this directly is why he chose to come back to LSU for another season.
I wanted to cement my legacy. I wanted to win the championship. It's this main goal, winning the championship, but I also wanted to help out with my legacy as far as, Garrett Nussmeier and Ricky Collins. I want to help those guys reach their ability faster than I did and be the best that they can. And I want them to be better than me at LSU.
How can you not love that? How can you not love that? Wants to come back to cement his legacy, to win a championship, and to make the younger guys better than he was. Jayden Daniels had an incredible start to his college career. As a freshman, a true freshman starter at Arizona State, then we know what happened. Sophomore was the COVID year. They only played a handful of games. Junior year, everything was a total disaster at Arizona State. There was scandal. Herm gets fired. The 10 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and everyone wondered if he was really that good. And the point that I've made so often is that thing was just a disaster there. It's not surprising that he came here. There was fertile ground, a new opportunity, and he flourished a year ago. Now, what can he do in year two? And this was the other thing he said that was so interesting to me. They kind of asked him for a comp, like who he compares his game to. Listen to what he said.
I feel like the person that I run the most like is probably Lamar Jackson. He's more shifty than me, but how effective he is with his legs, and obviously he's a talented passer too. So I'll say if there's a combo, it'll probably be the closest one, Lamar.
Lamar Jackson, of course, was a first-round draft pick and was a Heisman Trophy winner. LSU got to see Lamar in his Heisman season, you'll recall. They played him in the Citrus Bowl that year, and Arden Key had quite a day. But in that year, Lamar Jackson threw for 3,500 yards, 3,543 to be exact. He also threw for 30 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. In his Heisman year, Lamar ran for 1,571 yards and 21 rushing touchdowns. Now, I don't think Jayden Daniels is going to approach those numbers in combination because, unlike a year ago, LSU isn't going to need Jayden Daniels to rush for 1,000 yards. Jayden ran for 900 yards last year, just under it, out of necessity. When you look at LSU's running back room this year, when you have 8 running backs that you like, and you return 6 of your top 7 offensive linemen, and you add a transfer in Mason Lunsford, and you add Logan Diggs at running back as well, and you've added Lance Hurd on that offensive line, I don't think you're going to need Jayden Daniels to run for 900 yards this year. But because you're going to have a more stable offensive line, because you're going to have a more productive running game, that's going to open up Jayden Daniels in the passing game. And his passing stats will exceed Lamar Jackson's from that 2016 Heisman season. Jayden Daniels is going to throw for 4,000 yards this year. You may ask me one bold prediction for Jayden Daniels this year. Jayden Daniels will finish this season with the second highest passing total in LSU single-season football history behind only Joe Burrow in 2019. I'll say that today. I'll stand behind it all season long. You're primed for a monster season behind a fifth-year starting quarterback. The question with all the accolades and what he might be able to win really comes down to how many games does LSU win. And if LSU wins as many as I think they will, he'll have a seat in New York for the Heisman presentation. I don't know if he'll win it, but he'll have a seat there. And it'll be not only on the watch list at the beginning of the season, but really on the finalist list at the end of the season. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.